On the broadcast tonight, we have an update on a police incident that happened over the weekend.
And students prepare for a play that may go a little wrong.
All that and more right now on SUTV News. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Carson Devitt.
And I'm Maddie Shively. Pennsylvania State Police are investigating a deadly shooting that occurred in Shippensburg this past weekend. According to the police, a verbal fight between two men turned physical, and during the struggle, one of the men pulled out a firearm and shot the other. State police identified the victim as 29-year-old Milton D. Washington, who was a local resident of Harrisburg and father of two. Police say the incident happened at the intersection of North Queen Street and Coover Avenue, where the shooter remained on the scene until troopers arrived. In an email sent out Sunday morning, students were told that it was a contained incident and there is no threat to the campus or the community. Pennsylvania State Police are encouraging anyone who has information or evidence about the shooting to contact State Police Carlisle at 717-249-2121. Embrace your true, unique self at the Page Center as they host the Art of the Human Form, an artistic outlet designed to love your body in its real image. The event began in early October by intern facilitator Alia Claygett, who wanted to prompt students to use various art forms, such as painting and clay, to promote body positivity and uplift self-image. The event's goal is to create an atmosphere for members to celebrate self-love with art, which can be displayed in their homes or in the Page Center. The Art of the Human Form takes place every other Monday at 3:30 in the Page Center, located in the Cub, room 232. Shippensburg University's Queers Giving is back and taking place on Friday the 11th in the Cub 230. The Pride Center invites you to come join them from 5 to 7 for a Thanksgiving meal and a chance to learn all about Resilience Week. The event is something many students can be thankful for, especially in times where many return home to less welcoming situations. Queers Giving is an event where all are welcome. Even if you're not an active member of the LGBTQ+ community, it's never too late to be an advocate and a friend to all those who are. So come learn about Resilience Week and share food and laughter with all in Cub 230 this Saturday.
For more than 35 years, communities around the globe have come together to raise funds to create a cancer-free future. Next year, Shippensburg is participating in its Relay for Life Friday, March 31st, and registration is officially open. Relay for Life is one of the largest peer-to-peer fundraisers dedicated to saving lives from cancer. Shippensburg will host a 12-hour overnight event from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. Participants will take turns walking around a track or path to fundraise based on how far you or your team walks. All funds raised through Campus Relay for Life will fund the American Cancer Society's Childhood Cancer Initiative. To sign up, head over to signup.cancer.org to submit your email and get started. Coming up this weekend, the Hershey Bears take on the Bridgeport Islanders on Saturday, November 12th. Shippensburg will be providing bus transportation to and from the game, as well as a ticket and snack vouchers. The bus will depart from Ship at 5 p.m. However, if you're not positive you can make it, but are interested and don't want to lose a seat on the bus, don't stress. All tickets are a $5 refundable cash deposit, so reserve your tickets today before they're all gone. For tickets or any additional information on the game, please visit the info desk in the Cub. The Game on Improv Club is bringing student theatrical activities back to Shippensburg, performing the Mischief Theater Company's The Play That Goes Wrong. Public relations specialist Connor Obaka says this will be very exciting for multiple reasons.
So The Play That Goes Wrong is basically a play within a play. There's a murder mystery, but it's put together very shoddily. Sets will fall down, people might not know their lines, and bodies just seem to move when they're supposed to be dead. The Play That Goes Wrong was first created about 2 months ago. We thought about how to bring back student theater in Shippensburg because of the downfall of Act 5. There hasn't really been any student-led theater since. The Play That Goes Wrong is just a wonderful show, hilarious in all the right ways, and will keep you on edge and laughing every single time.
Opening night for the play begins this Friday evening at Memorial Auditorium, and tickets will be $7 for students with ID. Tuesday was Election Day here in the U.S. as millions of voters turned out across the country to cast their ballot. Pundits projected that Republicans would sweep into control in both the House and Senate, dubbed the red wave. Instead, as CNN's Amy Kiley describes it, a pink wave.
While the press and the pundits are predicting a giant red wave, it didn't happen.
If anything, the wave looks pink as the final election results trickle in. In fact, this might end up being the best midterm performance for a sitting president's party in 20 years.
I felt good during the whole process.
The outcome has ramifications beyond the party roll calls. Narrow congressional majorities can favor more moderate viewpoints. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin could speak to that. Democrats say the midterm results also send a message about the issues that matter to Americans and how they want to solve them.
The issues were the economy and autonomy and democracy.
By autonomy, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine says he means many voters are upset about even tighter abortion restrictions.
If you were an economy voter, that didn't mean that you were voting Republicans. A lot of people like what the Democrats are doing and want us to do more.
The midterms were also the first major election since the January 6th Capitol riot.
I kind of feel like it's a Groundhog Day. We had November 3rd, 2020. That was called Incompetency 101.
The broad result is in for gubernatorial candidates across the country. Most who refused to affirm the 2020 presidential election results lost. I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Here in Pennsylvania, voters cast their ballots for two key races, the gubernatorial race and the Senate race. In the gubernatorial race, Democrat Attorney General Josh Shapiro leads Republican State Senator Doug Mastriano by 14 points, with more than 95% of the votes counted, and is the projected winner. In the Senate race left vacant by Pat Toomey's retirement, Democrat Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman leads Dr. Mehmet Oz by 4 points, a projected win for Fetterman and a flip for the Democrats. Senate control remains unclear right now as Georgia will go to a runoff and the races in Nevada and Arizona are still too close to call. Control of the House also remains unclear as the large number of seats Republicans anticipated picking up has dropped considerably, though the New York Times reports that Republicans have an 83% chance of winning control. When we come back, the world's largest plane will soon fly again.
And cross country competes at the conference championship.
We have more after the break.
What's coming up in this week's edition of The Slate?
McKenna Marshall has a preview of what's to come.
Coming up this week in The Slate, our news section will cover the closing of the restaurant CJ's, along with the midterm election results and the SGA meeting. Our arts and entertainment section will have a review of American Horror Story, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and The Watcher. Our multimedia section will feature a gallery from this past week's performance of The Nutcracker. The sports section will cover men's basketball, football, and field hockey. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ShipUSlate, and be sure to pick up the next edition of The Slate Tuesday in the newsstands or read anytime at theslateonline.com.
The Antonov Company vows to rebuild the world's largest plane, and someone tries to play chicken with the TSA.
Haley Galaskis has this week's world news headlines.
Never die. That's what the makers of the world's largest commercial plane tweeted when it was destroyed during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And now, the Antonov Company says it's bringing the plane back to life. On Monday, the company tweeted that design work is already in the process. The company says it will take about $3 billion and 5 years to build the Mriya, which means dream in Ukrainian. It was built in the 80s to carry the Soviet space shuttle, and it has about twice the hold capacity as a Boeing 747. A heat shield that could land humans on Mars is hitching a ride to space. A polar satellite designed to improve weather forecasting has launched Thursday morning, and an experimental heat shield that could land humans on Mars is tagging along with it. The two separate missions both launched from Vandenberg Space Force Base in Lompoc, California. One will collect data that can help scientists predict and prepare for extreme weather events and monitor things like wildfires and volcanoes. A secondary mission will test inflatable heat shield technology needed to land crewed missions on Mars and larger robotic missions on Venus or Saturn's moon Titan. Both missions were originally set to lift off on November 1st, but a faulty battery on the rocket's upper stage caused a delay. What came first, the chicken or the gun? That's what security personnel at a Florida airport had to be asking themselves when they made a bizarre discovery at a TSA checkpoint. Jeremy Roth explains this odd turn of events.
We got all kinds of weird animal stories today, but first, guess what? Chicken butt. It's not just a funny saying, it's literally where TSA agents discovered a firearm in a traveler's bird-brained attempt to smuggle the weapon through airport security in, check my notes here, yes, Florida. Of course it was. The agency posted images on social media of the poultry-seasoned pistol in the cavity of the raw bird, along with a pun-rich post calling the incident a personal foul and a waste of time. Nice try, TSA, but why don't you leave the poultry puns to the pros? You can't just wing it, all right? The timing must be impeccable. Okay. In other bird news of the bizarre, Swiss authorities recently announced a years-long program aimed at training birds of prey to take out aerial drones has been grounded. I know. The program was a collab between police in Geneva and local expert falconers training large birds to intercept drones that might pose a threat to dignitaries or politicians. As you can see, the birds clearly had the talents and talons for the job, but due to safety concerns, the program just never fully got off the ground. And finally, from eagles catching to octopuses throwing. A newly published study found that octopuses appear to deliberately throw things at other octopuses. Researchers observed more than 100 instances of the tentacled creatures launching debris like silt or shells in moments of aggression or during attempts at mating. Officials say only a few other animals are known to do this, and the behavior may play an important role in octopuses' social lives. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Discovered beneath Egyptian temple may lead to Cleopatra's tomb. Kathleen Martinez, an archaeologist at the University of Santo Domingo, believes she made a pivotal breakthrough. Martinez and her team uncovered a 1,305-meter tunnel located 13 meters underground. She told CNN that the excavation revealed, among other artifacts, a complex set of tunnels leading to the Mediterranean Sea and sunken structures. Exploring these underwater structures will be the next stage of her search for the Queen's lost tomb, a journey that began in 2005. Now, Martinez says she's at the beginning of a new journey, underwater excavations. According to a statement issued by the Ministry for Tourism and Antiquities, the Egyptian coastline has been battered by earthquakes over the centuries, causing parts of the Tamposiris Magna to collapse and sink under the waves. This is where Martinez and her team are looking next. Martinez says that if the tunnels lead to Cleopatra, it will be the most important discovery of the century. That's it for World News this week. I'm Haley Galaskis. Now let's send it back to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
When we come back in entertainment, the next installment in the Scream franchise is coming sooner than expected.
We have more after the break.
You know, Carson, I was a little shocked at how warm it was earlier this week, but now it's looking like we're back to that normal November weather.
I know, I've been wearing shorts all this past week, but I feel like I might need to switch over to jeans pretty soon.
That's a shame. Now let's head over to Storm Johnson, who has this week's weather.
As we inch even closer to Thanksgiving break, let's take a quick look at what weather to expect in the coming days. Later tonight, expect temperatures in the low 50s with cloud coverage lurking overhead. As for tomorrow, make sure to bring your umbrella and raincoats to class as the storm clouds move in with a 100% chance of rain. Temperatures could get up to 70 degrees, but with the elements, we're going to be hovering around the mid-60s throughout majority of the day. Over the weekend, the rain moves out, but the cold moves in. Saturday, we'll see 70 degrees, while on Sunday, temperatures drop by 25 degrees, and we'll see a chilly high of 45. Early next week, on Monday, expect around the same as Sunday with a high of 45 degrees. Then, unfortunately, the rain comes back with 40% chance of rain both Tuesday and Wednesday, accompanied by highs in the mid-40s. Thursday and Friday aren't much different with mid-40 highs. However, Friday has a 40% chance of snow as the low dips under 30. Some scary-looking cold fronts moving in, but it's time for your not-so-scary weatherman to move on out. I'm Storm Johnson, and this has been your weekly weather report. Now over to Michael Donegan with this week's entertainment.
After the success of Scream's grand return to the cinema this past January, fans can expect to see the film's sequel coming at a sooner date than initially expected. Paramount Pictures recently announced that fans can expect to see the 6th installment of the Scream series that is yet to receive a name this spring on March 10th, 2023. This film is a direct sequel to last year's Scream film, and we'll see Courtney Cox, Melissa Barrera, Jenny Ortega, Mason Gooding, Hayden Panettiere, and Jasmine Savoy Brown all reprising their roles from the past installment. In recent news, it was announced, however, that Neve Campbell will not be featured in the movie due to her feeling, quote, undervalued by the contract she was offered, end quote. This will be the first time that Campbell is not featured in the Scream franchise. Regardless, Ghostface will return to the big screen once again on March 10th. The long-awaited return of Netflix's The Crown is over. Many fans eagerly waited for the arrival of Season 5 after The Crown's first few seasons were an undeniable hit. However, the show has been highly controversial as of late, from critics fighting that it wrongly depicts the royal family to actors and producers defending that it's very clearly an act of fiction. This anticipation of the new season was colossal, and questions of whether the show writers would succumb to the social pressure started to circulate. Even with some negative publicity surrounding the show, Season 5 is now available on Netflix, and Season 6 has already been confirmed and announced as the last season to wrap up the series. Tragedy struck in the music industry on Saturday, November 5th, when singer and actor Aaron Carter was found dead in his California home. Carter was only 34 years old and widely known for his dedication to music and acting. A housekeeper found Carter unconscious in his bathroom that Saturday morning around 11 a.m. However, a toxicology report is still pending to identify the initial cause of death. Carter unfortunately struggled with substance abuse throughout his life and took it upon himself to get sober for he and his loved ones. Those close to Aaron have stated that he was planning on getting back into the recording studio the week following his death. The star accomplished many milestones in his lifetime, including the release of 6 total albums, appearances on Nickelodeon and Dancing with the Stars, and touring with Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys. He made his acting debut in a 2001 episode of Disney's Lizzie McGuire, and in 2006 he starred in a reality TV show called House of Carters, which presented the reunion of Backstreet Boys' Nick Carter and his siblings. Aaron Carter touched the hearts of many throughout his career, and his impact on the industry will forever be admired. That's all for entertainment this week. I'm Michael Donegan. Now sending it back over to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
When we come back in sports, highlights from last night's playoff volleyball from Higas Fieldhouse.
We have more after this.
Volleyball opened the PSAC tournament at Higas Fieldhouse. The Raiders taking on East Stroudsburg. ESU came out swinging, picking up the first set 25-18. Set 2 went in a similar fashion, although the Raiders put together a late run. The Warriors came out on top 25-17. Ship fought vigorously with their backs against the wall, facing elimination, but ESU was too much for the Raiders, picking up the last set 25-21 and moving on in the tournament. ESU travels to Gannon, which will host the rest of the tournament this weekend, and plays number 1 Gannon Saturday. Then today, 3 Raider athletes were named to all PSAC teams. Seniors Ayinda Agbali and Rachel Verhoof were named to the first team, while freshman Kirsten Davis was named to the second team. Over the weekend in sports, the men's and women's cross-country teams competed in the PSAC Conference Championships at Mansfield. We start with the women's team. Overall, they scored 166 points, which placed them 7th in the championships. 3 Raiders finished amongst the top 30, earning all conference classification nods. Graduate Kyla Gerber finished 13th overall with a 23.04, followed by 2 freshmen, Levy Reddick and Kesley Hull, who finished with 23.33 and 23.57 respectively. On to the men, they placed 2nd overall with 55 points after all their finishers placed in the top 16 overall. Just a couple of terrific performances included Garrett Quinnen placing 6th with a 25.27, followed immediately by Hayden Hunt, who came in 7th with a 25.34. Both teams will make their return to Mansfield in 2 weeks at the NCAA Atlantic Region Championships. Football at Charlotte Lock Haven on Saturday. SUTV's Jack Ainsley has the highlights.
Raiders traveled to Lock Haven. A few minutes into the first quarter, Falco hands off to Clete Dorsey, who breaks free down the left side and walks into the end zone. Raiders get an early lead, 7-0. Raiders get the ball back later in the quarter. It's Dorsey again who walks in for his second touchdown of the day. Raiders up by 14. Beginning of the second quarter, Raiders knock it on the doorstep of the red zone again. Falco finds Mike Viglano in the end zone for the touchdown. The Raiders extend their lead to 21. On the ensuing drive, Nasir Greer picks off the pass of the Lock Haven quarterback and takes it to the house for the pick six. Raiders extend the lead to 28. About a minute later, the Raiders special teams unit blocks this punt, and the Raiders recover inside the 5. On the next play, Bill Williams runs in for the touchdown to make the Raiders lead up to 35. Second half, Falco finds who else but Khalid Dorsey for his 3rd touchdown of the day. Raiders go on to win this one 48-7. For SUTV Sports, I'm Jack Ainsley.
The Raiders will finish their season this weekend when they travel to Gannon. Kickoff is set for 12 o'clock. Field hockey hosted number 8 in the nation Converse in a Monday morning battle at Rob Sports Complex. After a scoreless first quarter, Garibaldi shoots off the penalty corner. It's saved, but Chloe Prederman speaks in from behind and knocks it in. Raiders up 1-0. Later, same quarter, Jadlu finds some space and lasers this one past the goalkeeper. It's 2-0 Ship at the half. Converse would start a fourth quarter comeback. This gets tipped in, just sneaking by Lindsay Tribideau in net. Less than a minute later, the Raiders respond with one of their own. Garibaldi's shot from just inside the circle scores. Ship will win this one 3-1. After Converse would cash in a penalty, but they could not find a way to get any closer. Raiders hold on to win 3-2. Raiders have one more game before the regular season ends. They travel to Mercyhurst on Saturday for a 1 o'clock start. That's it for sports this week. I'm JD Durazio. Now back to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
When we come back, the Strong Museum in New York unveils the 2022 Toy Hall of Fame inductees.
Stay tuned. Remember these toys from your childhood? A spinning top, Light Bright, and Masters of the Universe action figures were inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame today. The Hall of Fame is part of Strong Museum in Rochester, New York. Those 3 beat out 9 other finalists, including Bingo, Nerf, and Breyer horses. A 23-member committee of toy experts chose the 2022 inductees, and members of the public then voted online to choose the winners. A Strong Museum spokesman said the inductees have stood the test of time and influenced culture. Other finalists included Catan, the Pinata, Phase 10, Pound Puppies, Racco, and the Spirograph.
I don't know about you, Maddie, but I wasn't able to recognize too many of those toys, but I did use a Light Bright. Back in December, I used to make little notes for Santa Claus.
You know, kids these days are so caught up in their iPads, they never really got to know about the Light Bright.
It is such a shame, too, because it's such a key childhood memory.
Absolutely. That's it for SUTV News.
I'm Carson Devitt.
And I'm Maddie Shively. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News, and check out our website, sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week. Good night.